recording. Lovely. So we'll come onto our backs, onto the mat. Just take a moment. Fab. And we'll just settle in here for a moment, maybe have a little wiggle. And then just release your hands down beside you. Let your knees support one another. And just close your eyes for a moment. Just noticing how your body feels today. Noticing any sore bits or stiff bits. Just breathing into those areas. And then beginning to send the breath to the whole of the body, filling the whole of the body with energy. And just beginning to become aware of it, listen to it. As you inhale, just trying to fill the whole of your lungs from bottom to top. Really breathing with your tummy. And as you exhale, just letting your whole body be soft for a moment. Beginning to slow the breath down a little. Really trying to breathe with intention, making every breath count. And we'll take a few breaths here all together, breathing in through the nose, filling the whole of the lungs. And then sighing everything out through the mouth, just letting go of any tension as you do. Inhaling again here through the nose. Filling the lungs, filling the body. And then again, just sighing everything out, letting your whole body be soft as you do. One more big, deep inhalation here. And then just pause for a moment at the top of the breath, just noticing your body in this moment. And then with control, breathing out through the mouth or the nose to suit you. Just trying to let that breath go slowly. And then on your next inhalation, just opening your eyes and bringing your hands out either side of you, bending at the elbows. So we're making what's called cactus hands here, spreading the fingers nice and wide, finding some space in the upper body and the shoulders. And just walking the feet mat width apart. So, sorry, they're a little bit wider than your hips. Taking a nice deep breath in here. And then as you exhale, just letting the knees fall over towards the right. It doesn't matter where they get to. And just releasing, opening up the hips a little, releasing a bit of tension in the back. Pausing here for breath. And then inhaling, again, bringing the knees back up to center. And exhaling, releasing the knees over towards the left this time. Again, don't worry about where they get to, just letting them fall over. Breathing nice and deeply on this side. And then on your next inhalation, just bringing the knees back up to center. And exhaling, releasing them back over to the right again. Flexing the toes back towards the knees here. Breathing nice and deeply, maybe letting that left buttock come off the ground, but keeping the shoulders rooted into the mat. And then inhaling again, coming back to center. And exhaling over to the other side, flexing those toes back towards the knees. Maybe letting that right buttock come off the ground this time. Really trying to let the face be soft and relaxed, the shoulders heavy into the mat. On your next inhalation, bringing the knees back up to center and exhaling them over to the other side for the last time. Maybe this time adding a twist of the head over towards the left, if that feels good for you, but just listening to your neck, paying attention to your body. Breathing nice and deeply, really trying to keep that breath coming from the tummy. And then inhaling, coming back to center with both the knees and the head. Exhaling, releasing the knees first towards the left, and then maybe, if it feels good for you, looking over your right shoulder, but just paying attention to your neck. Maybe one side feels different to the other. Breathing nice and deeply. Really trying to breathe through the nose if you can. This is a really comforting thing for the body. Helps us to de-stress if we're breathing through the nose. And then inhaling, coming back to center. And exhaling, bringing the knees in towards the chest, giving yourself a bit of a hug here. Maybe rocking side to side, but doing what feels good for you. Trying to keep the tailbone flat on the mat so we're not rounding our back here. Breathing, smiling. And then coming back to center, finding nice even rooting through the whole of the back, bringing the hands down either side of you. Then as we inhale, just extending the legs up towards the ceiling, flexing the toes back towards the face. You can bend your knees as much as you want to here. Just listening to what feels good for you. Maybe straightening them if that feels better. Just finding something that works for you, and just pausing here, letting the blood flow back down to the body, keeping that breath nice and deep and even. Maybe still breathing through the nose. Just releasing here, letting the head be soft, shoulders be heavy. And maybe beginning to bring some movement into the toes, flexing them back down towards your body, and then pointing them up towards the ceiling. Just nice and slowly, maybe starting to draw some circles. Bringing some movement into the feet, some movement into the ankles. If you've been drawing circles, maybe starting to go the other way. One more deep inhalation here, releasing your feet back up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, lowering the feet back down to the mat, bring them hip width apart, and bringing your knees up towards the ceiling. Lovely. This time as we inhale, we'll bring our right arm up towards the ceiling, bringing the palm of the hand up towards the sky. Bring our left hand to our right fingertips and just gently draw the fingers of the right hand back towards the face. Really trying to spread the thumb out wide, away from the hand, stretching out the hand, breathing nice and deeply, really trying to spread the fingers, maybe pushing up gently from the shoulder, keeping that arm nice and straight, but just being gentle with your body. And then releasing the right hand and swapping over. So bringing the left hand up towards the ceiling this time, spreading the fingers slightly and bringing the right fingertips to the left fingers, gently drawing the left fingers back towards your body, spreading that thumb nice and wide. Just finding a little bit of a stretch here in the wrist, drawing that awareness into that joint. Maybe pushing up slightly from the shoulder, but just listening to your body. Breathing nice and deeply. And then exhaling, releasing both hands back down either side of your body. Just bringing some awareness to your core, thinking about sending your tummy button down towards the spine, down towards the mat, and thinking about trying to wrap the outside edges of your body inwards. So just bringing your hands to your lower ribs here, letting your elbows come out to the sides, and just placing your hands on your ribs. Just imagine trying to draw those ribs towards each other, breathing nice and deeply, just a gentle activation of the core here. We're not thinking about the abs, the surface muscles, we're thinking about the deep core, the psoas, and all of the stabilizing muscles around our trunk. Breathing nice and deeply here, just trying to keep that activation in the core. We'll just lift the left leg up off the mat, bringing the knee over the top of the hip. From here, we'll just draw the knee out towards the outside edge of the body, and then bring it back in towards the right knee. So we're just starting to move the hip joint a little here, really trying to isolate this movement in the hip, moving the leg side to side, letting it turn out towards the left, and then bringing it back in towards the right. Lovely. Still keeping that core active, still breathing nice and deeply. Just warming up those hip joints. Then inhaling, bringing that left knee back to center, and exhaling, releasing it back down to the mat. Taking a nice deep breath in here, keeping that core active if you can, keeping the fingers on the ribs. And then exhaling, bringing that right leg up off the mat this time, stacking the right knee over the hip. Again, just beginning to move the leg side to side, so bringing it out towards the right, letting the knee turn out. And then bringing it back across the body towards your center line, just beginning to bring some movement into your hip. Lovely. Breathing nice and deeply still, finding that gentle activation in the core, relaxing your shoulders, your face. And then on your next inhalation, bringing the knee back to center, exhaling, releasing the knee back down to, the foot back down to the mat, bringing the hands either side of your body. Just trying to keep that awareness in the center of your body. Then we'll just inhale, see if we can just lift the pelvis up off the mat just a tiny bit. You might only get it a centimeter off the mat. But just coming up into a very low bridge, pushing through the feet, squeezing the inner thighs, just beginning to bring some awareness to the glutes, the buttock muscles, maybe giving them a gentle prod, softening the shoulders and the face. One more deep breath here. Then exhaling, breathing out through the nose if you can, slowly lowering back down to the mat. We'll do that a couple more times. So as we inhale, just gently lifting the pelvis up off the mat. Doesn't have to be a big movement at all. We're just bringing that engagement into the body, trying to keep that core gently engaged, the pelvis neutral. So maybe if it's accessible for you, bringing your fingers to the little pointy bits on the top of your hips, just checking that they're nice and level. If they're not, trying to level them off. One more deep breath here. And then again, trying to breathe through the nose, slowly exhaling, lowering one vertebra down at a time onto the mat. Once more as we inhale, lifting that pelvis up just a little bit off the mat, really pushing through those feet, trying to send the energy in your feet through the outside edges. So we're just kind of almost pushing our feet apart as we stay still, breathing nice and deeply, keeping those hips nice and level, finding that softness in the upper body, in the face and the neck. And then exhaling, slowly releasing back down to the mat and drawing your knees in, giving yourself another bit of a hug here, maybe rocking side to side. And we'll come up into a seated position now. So you can either rock and roll up or just roll over onto one side, make your way up. And you can have your legs however you want for this next bit. So you can cross them, you can have them bent like this in front of you. You can be kneeling, just finding something that works for you here. Finding a bit of length through the spine, maybe moving some fleshy bits out of the way on your bum. So you're sitting on your sit bones. Finding some length through the spine, rolling the shoulders away from your ears. And just gently bringing that awareness to those lower ribs, maybe bring your hands there just so you can remind your body to draw everything inwards, draw that center line, draw everything towards that center line. Then we'll inhale the right arm up overhead and gently exhale over towards the left, opening up the right side body. Again, it doesn't have to be a big movement, lovely. You can bring the left hand down beside you if you want to for a bit of extra support. One more deep breath in here. And then as we exhale, we're going to bring the right hand down to meet the left hand and just release the head and the neck over towards the left. Hopefully you feel a bit of a stretch in the bottom of the right side of the back, maybe in the neck, just gently breathing nice and deeply here. And then inhaling slowly, rolling back up to center, coming back to your neutral spine. Do the same on the other side. So we'll inhale the left arm up overhead. Gently exhale over towards the right. Maybe bring the right hand down beside you for a bit more support. Trying to keep that body squished between two planes of glass. One more inhalation here. And then as we exhale, just releasing that left hand back down to meet the right, looking towards our right and just releasing the head and neck here. Softening that body, opening up the bottom of the back. Breathing nice and deeply. Then inhaling slowly, rolling back up to center, coming to face the top of your mat. Exhaling, just releasing here, maybe rolling out the shoulders a little. Okay. We'll bring our hands in front of us, roll onto all fours. You can always tuck or untuck the toes here to suit you, so entirely dependent on your body, what feels better for you. Maybe if you have tender knees, you can also bring a blanket or something underneath them to give them a bit more support here. Then just building this pose from the base up, really pushing through the tops of the feet if they're flat on the mat, or through the toes if they're tucked. Spreading the fingertips, trying to root through each fingertip evenly, inside to the elbows to the top of the mat, and then trying to find that nice neutral spine. So maybe looking up slightly, and then releasing your gaze to the top of the mat. Breathing here, finding that gentle activation of the core again, drawing the lower ribs towards one another. And just breathing here for a moment, feeling the grounding benefits of this pose, the stability. You're really trying to breathe through the nose. Listen to the sound of your own breath here. We'll take a few rounds of cat-cow. So as we drop the tummy, we'll lift the crown of the head and the tailbone, making sure we're not throwing our head back behind us. Exhaling, rounding the back, really pushing the mat away from you, tucking the head towards the chest. And just breathing nice and deeply here, taking your time to move between the two poses in time to your own breath. And then on your next inhalation, just coming back to center, back to that nice neutral spine. We'll just extend the left leg out behind us as we inhale. And then exhale, sweep it out towards the left. It doesn't matter where you get to. You might be back here. You might bring it all the way up. Doesn't matter where. And just pause here for a moment, maybe feeling a bit of a stretch on the inside of that left leg. Trying to keep your hips nice and neutral so we're not twisting open to the left here. If you find that you are, just dropping your foot back a little. And then from here, we'll take another couple of breaths of cat-cow. Inhaling, dropping the tummy. Exhaling, rounding the back. Breathing nice and deeply. You might find you can't get as deep. That's okay. Lovely. And on your next inhalation, coming back to center. And exhaling, releasing that left knee back down to meet the right knee. Do the same on the other side. So inhaling the right leg out behind us. Exhaling, sweeping it out towards the left. Trying to keep that pelvis nice and neutral. Doing a few rounds of cat-cow on this side. Breathing nice and deeply. And on your next inhalation, coming back to that nice neutral spine. Exhaling, releasing the right foot to meet the left foot. Lovely. And then on our next inhalation, we'll tuck the toes. And as we exhale, we'll just send our weight back and up for downward facing dog, really bending the knees here, almost bringing your tummy to touch the tops of your legs. Just releasing the head, trying to let go of any tension here. One more inhalation here, breathing in through the nose. Then as we exhale, rounding the back and just tiptoeing the feet up towards the fingertips. Releasing here, bringing the torso to rest on top of the thighs. And then either bringing your elbows to the top of the thighs and resting your head onto it. Or if it feels good for you, just releasing the head all the way over and maybe swaying side to side. Breathing nice and deeply here. Lovely. Just trying to soften the head and the neck. And just release that energy down towards the ground. And your next inhalation, rounding the back and slowly, slowly rolling up to standing, making sure the head is the last thing to come up. Lovely. Finding that length here in mountain pose, bringing your feet hip width apart if they're not already. And just finding some grounding through the whole of the feet, maybe rocking up and down. Maybe just experimenting with bringing your weight onto the inside edges and then the outside edges, and bringing some of that ankle mobility in here that we did on our backs. And then coming to a place of stillness, trying to root through all the edges of the feet evenly. So we're not leaning back, we're not leaning forward, we're just rooting through the whole of our feet. Just taking a moment to bring your awareness to your pelvis. So bringing one hand to the front, one hand to the back, and just trying to find, maybe letting the back arch a little, sending the bum out behind you, and then tucking it underneath you. Just moving between these two positions of the pelvis. And then trying to find a nice middle ground where the pelvis is stacked on top of the legs. So we're finding a nice neutral pelvis here. Then bringing the hands down beside you, rolling the shoulders up, ears and down your back. Reaching down to the ground through those fingertips and up towards the ceiling through the crown of your head. Breathing nice and deeply here, finding that grounding, finding that length, finding that stability. And then we'll inhale, bring the arms up overhead. And then as we exhale, we'll bring our hands to heart center, bending at the knees, hinging at the hips, but sending our tailbone down towards the ground for a chair pose. Lovely. Doesn't have to be a very deep chair pose. We're just trying to keep that neutral spine, that pelvis neutral. Lovely. And just trying to send the feet apart without actually letting them move, and gauging the inner thighs without actually letting them touch. What's going on here? Breathing nice and deeply for 2 more breaths. And then on your next exhalation, hinging at the hips, trying to keep that back nice and flat, bending the knees as much as you need to. And then rounding all the way over for a forward fold. Or if you want to, you can bring your head on your hands again, as we did a moment ago. Pausing here for a moment, taking a deep breath in, really trying to fill the whole of the back body. And then exhaling, seeing if we can bend the knees to plant the hands, just walking out the feet behind us for a little downward facing dog. Try and keep that hinging at the hip. So our torso is almost glued to our thighs. Inhaling here, seeing if we can find a little lift through the tailbone. Then exhaling, tiptoeing the feet back up towards the hands, folding forward. Pausing here for another breath, breathing nice and deeply into the back body. And then exhaling, stepping that left foot back behind you, dropping that knee and coming up into our low lunge. Lovely. Try and send the energy through that right foot back behind you, pushing through the whole of the left shin if it's on the ground, and just trying to bring some activation into this left glute. Breathing nice and deeply. The more your left glute is active, the more you'll feel a stretch in your left hip flexor. One more breath here, softening the shoulders away from the ears, finding that length in the spine. Then on your next exhalation, folding over that front foot and just walking the hands over towards your left. Lovely. You can stay on your fingertips here or plant your hand. First of all, just release your head down. You'll feel a little bit of a stretch in that right side. Try and keep that left hip flexor, left glute active. And then on your next inhalation, leading with the elbow, right arm up towards the sky. And then maybe bringing the fingertips up, releasing the head here, breathing nice and deeply. Lovely. Just pause here for a couple of breaths. Again, trying to listen to the sound of your own breath. It flows in and out of your body. And then exhaling, releasing that right hand and walking the hands back to the front of the mat. Stepping the left foot back up to meet the right foot and folding forward. Pausing here for a breath, again, filling that back body, releasing the head. Exhaling, softening everything. And then inhaling, stepping the right foot back behind you this time, dropping that knee. Inhaling up into a low lunge on this side. Again, finding that stability in this pose, pushing through the whole of that right shin if it's on the mat, bringing that activation into the right glute, and then trying to send that left heel back towards the back of the room. Breathing nice and deeply here, lifting up through the crown of the head, softening those shoulders. One more inhalation here. And as you exhale, folding over that front foot, walking the hands round to the right this time. Again, either staying on your fingertips or maybe coming down onto the palms of the hands. Just releasing the head here for a moment, allowing your whole upper body to be heavy, maybe bringing the chin to the chest. Then on your next inhalation, leading with the elbow, lifting the left arm up towards the sky, maybe bringing the arm up and just releasing the head here, allowing a bit of a stretch, trying to keep that left glute active still. Right glute active still. Breathing nice and deeply. Drawing that left heel towards the back of the mat still. Can feel a bit strange when we're kind of a little bit upside down to work out which is which. One more deep breath in here. And then exhaling, releasing that left hand, to the mat, walking both hands round to the front, planting the hands and stepping the left foot back to meet the right. And we'll just shuffle down onto our tummies here. So coming all the way down onto the mat. And bring your hands either side of our torso now, squeezing the elbows together. So we're really trying to draw those shoulder blades in towards each other. And we should feel like our shoulders are pointing upwards a little. We're going to come into a cobra now, but very gentle. So we're not looking for a big movement. We're just looking to activate our back muscles to do the work. So as we inhale, we're just going to think about squeezing the glutes and lifting the shoulders up off the mat. We shouldn't feel like we're pushing through our hands. You might only get a centimetre off the mat. That's totally fine. You might get a little higher. But we're just keeping those hands really soft, just for balance more than support. Breathing nice and deeply. So you inhale, maybe finding that you can lift a little higher. And as you exhale, maybe softening back down towards the mat, almost like a wave moving in your body. Really trying to keep those glutes, those buttock muscles active, because that helps protect our lower back. Then on your next exhalation, just slowly softening all the way back down to the mat. We'll inhale, push up slightly. And exhale, we'll come into a wide-legged child's pose. So bringing your knees to the outside edges of the mat, sinking the tailbone back on towards the heels. And then you have options here for your hands. If you find that this compresses your lungs a little, you can just make a little pillow for your head with your hands out of your fists, stacked one on top of the other, or maybe reach them forward. Just whatever feels good for you. Maybe it's different to another day. Every day our bodies feel a little different. Just tuning into what feels good for you today. Breathing nice and deeply. And then if you've got your forehead on the ground, you can bring your hands to prayer on the back of your head. And just walk your forearms at your elbows forward a little, stretching out your upper arms, your shoulders. Just breathing nice and deeply here. Really trying to soften your body. Expand your back body as you breathe in. And just release into the mat as you breathe out. On your next inhalation, releasing the hands down in front of you and slowly coming up onto all fours. Again, finding that nice neutral spine. Breathing nice and deeply. Just taking a moment here. Then we'll sweep the right foot off the mat. Extend that left leg nice and long. And just see if we can inhale and lift that left elbow up. I don't need to extend the arm. And then as we exhale, we're going to bring the left knee back down to the mat to meet the right knee. Sweep the right knee back onto the mat and bring that left arm underneath the right arm. Now you might just come down onto your forearm here and release your head. You might be able to extend it a little further and bring the side of your head down to the mat. Just breathing nice and deeply here, opening up the top of the back. And on your next inhalation, rooting through that right hand, Sweeping that left arm up again, elbow towards the sky. Then exhaling, releasing the left hand down. Do the same on the other side. So we'll sweep that left foot off the mat. So we're making a bit more, giving ourselves a bit more support. Extending the right leg nice and long and inhaling, opening up the chest, the right side of the room, lifting the elbow up. As we exhale, releasing the right knee, bringing the left foot back onto the mat and extending that right arm underneath the left. Maybe just coming down onto the forearm if this feels a bit too strong. Otherwise, maybe bringing the right side of your face down towards the mat. And just breathing nice and deeply here, really noticing your breath, softening your face. And then on your next inhalation, rooting through that left hand, bringing the right elbow up towards the ceiling. Exhaling, releasing the right hand back down to the mat. Untucking the toes again, bringing the knees nice and wide. We'll just sink back for another wide-legged child's pose. And again, you've got lots of options with your hands, so you can either extend them out in front of you again, bring them to prayer on the back of your head, or make a little pillow for your head with your hands. Just whatever feels good for you. This is your practice. Breathing nice and deeply wherever you are, really trying to fill the whole of the body. As you breathe in, just soften into the mat as you breathe out. And then on your next inhalation, slowly coming up to a seated position. And as we exhale, we'll just come down onto our backs. We'll come into Shavasana in a moment. So if you want to bring a pillow under your head or a blanket over you, anything to make yourself nice and comfortable for a few minutes, feel free. And we'll just draw our knees in towards our chest once more before we come into Shavasana and just rock side to side, just giving our back a bit of a massage. And we'll release our feet to the mat and either keep them here, making a little support for our knees with each other, or extending them nice and long to either corner of the mat, rolling them out to the side. So just opening up the hips a little, bringing the hands to either side of our body, rolling the shoulders underneath us, and drawing our eyes to a close. Drawing your attention inwards to your body, really noticing how your body feels, noticing your breath flowing in and out of it. Taking a big deep breath in and sighing everything out through the mouth. And then just allowing your breath to return to its natural rhythm. Letting go of any control over it. And just allowing it to be. With every inhalation, finding a sense of expansion and growth. With every exhalation, a feeling of deep relaxation and peacefulness. With every exhalation, just letting go of any tension in your muscles, allowing every part of you to relax, your feet, your legs, your hips, your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your whole torso, your neck, and your head. Relaxing your jaw and your forehead, letting your whole face soften. Just allowing your body to melt a little further into the earth with every breath. Finding a sense of being connected and grounded, and allowing everything to be just as it is. Staying in this state for a little while longer, just allowing your body and mind a few moments of stillness, to feel the effects and benefits of this practice today. If any thoughts float in, just allowing them to float out again, always coming back to the breath, flowing in and out of your body. Bringing some awareness back into your body, still keeping your eyes closed, just moving your fingers and your toes. Maybe stretching your arms up overhead for a full body stretch. And releasing your hands beside you and bringing your knees up towards the ceiling. Slowly rolling over onto one side. Just pausing here for a moment, making a little pillow for your head with your hands. And when you're ready, slowly making your way up to a seated position, bringing your hands to heart center. Beginning to rub your hands together to generate some heat. And then place them over your eyes, allowing your eyes to open. You bring your hands back to heart center. Namaste.